Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 60 of Be With Me. This podcast drops on Christmas morning. So let's do a little Christmas story today. My title for today is Christmas is Confounding. And I get that as we follow Saul in the book of Acts, who basically tells the Christmas story, and people are going to respond a bit in a confounding way. Let me read here. The context of the story is Saul was on the road to Damascus, sees a bright light, sees Jesus himself, gets blinded. 3 days he's been fasting of food and drink. A man named Ananias gets a vision. God says to him to go lay hands on this evil, scary guy, Saul, which he obeys, and he calls him brother. Lays hands on him, he regains his sight, scales fall from his eyes, he rises and gets baptized, he starts to eat again and is strengthened, and then here we go. For some days, this is from Acts 9:19, for some days he was with the disciples in Damascus, and immediately he, Saul, proclaimed Jesus in the synagogue, saying, "He is the Son of God." That's the Christmas story. And all who heard him were amazed and said, "Is not this the man who made havoc in Jerusalem of those who called upon his name? And has he not come here for this purpose, to bring them bound before the chief priests?" But Saul increased all the more in strength and confounded the Jews who lived in Damascus by proving that Jesus was the Christ. So we'll get to confounding, but I wanted to go through the things that Saul has already demonstrated. Well, first of all, let's talk about baptism. He demonstrates his belief right away with baptism. And I think that's a beautiful thing, and he highlights the association that we get to have with Jesus, with the baby Jesus and the adult Jesus and the reigning Jesus. I think Saul admits and emphasizes the agency of God. That is, that this didn't happen by accident, that he was born, he was sent, and that there's no other name given among men, given. So God had an agency to make Christmas morning happen. Now, Christmas holds a concept in abeyance a little bit. Like, we don't really usually talk about the big problems of sin and death. And the reason is that Christmas morning is so accessible. It's the baby Jesus. And I think it actually invites people in before you deal with the big issues and judgment and power. You get invited into the family of God in the identity of Jesus as a child. And there's make no bones about it. Saul proclaims Jesus as the Son of God. So the identity of Jesus is proclaimed here. He's not just a baby, he's God come down. And I like the urgency that this Christmas story has with Saul. First of all, he immediately is baptized, which is cool. And then he immediately proclaims Jesus in the synagogues. So he just kind of takes what he knows about Jesus and proclaims it, which is awesome. I was tickled. I was thinking about God coming down, and Jesus is the global and national and international champion. And I was even thinking of him as the Inter-Galactic-Champion. You know, there's a wrestling league that's the Inter-Galactic League, and I was wondering how many contestants they actually have from other galaxies. But Jesus is actually that. So Jesus is this great intergalactic champion, if you will. But on Christmas morning, he comes small. He comes, and then we get the Holy Spirit here in the book of Acts, and it's almost more like portable. But the intimacy and the personalness of the baby Jesus is so helpful to us. And I think he calls out to us, and the reason people love Christmas is Jesus is just a bit more accessible. What do you need help with? I think that it's an easier morning to deal with that. Okay, so Christmas is proclaimed, and the Jews are confounded, and I think Christmas is confounding. It's a little bit bewildering. It's troubling in the sense that there are some implications as we start thinking about Christmas. There's a few ideas that have to get knocked around and probably knocked down. We have some, amazement and some scariness. So there's this great association of God with us. It's the wonderful part about Christians and Christmas, and I think it's less demanding than the time when we think about Jesus, when he comes in his glory and his power and his judgment and his righteousness and destroying evil and appropriately giving all their due. But the Christmas morning is the great start. It's the accessible start. It's the way that he invites us in. So my message here today, and I think maybe a little bit with Paul on Christmas morning, is, hey, Jesus, welcome here. Welcome to this. Welcome to our home planet. We need some help. And welcome to our hearts. You come as a child and come gently. And God has come here to help. I think Paul proclaims it. I think we need to hear it. So Merry Christmas. Welcome to our home, Jesus, and welcome to our hearts. I pray that you have a blessed encounter with Jesus today. Thanks for listening. Lord willing, I'll see you tomorrow.